Welcome everyone. I'm Megan Zottarelli, Assistant Director of Policy at Swords to Plowshares, and your facilitator for today's online workshop on social media best practices. This workshop is organized by the Institute for Veteran Policy at Swords to Plowshares as part of our Technical Assistance Series for grantees of our California and Texas Veteran Employment and Training Collaborative. Social media is an opportunity to tell your story, engage with supporters, keep your cause at the top of supporters' news feeds, and get results. Kevin Miller, Media Relations Specialist at Swords, will discuss best practices in social media, integrating and aligning social media with your strategic goals and target audiences, content strategies, holiday and other campaigns, and tracking results. This is an online workshop, however, we do encourage you to be active participants to be able to ask and answer questions as well as participate in exercises throughout the presentation. So some general housekeeping before we begin. During this workshop, you can type a question to the panelists or Swords to Plowshares staff at any time. Simply type your questions in the questions box on the right side of this webinar's display. During the presentation, you will be muted, but you can indicate while you type the question into the questions box if you would like us to unmute you while we answer the question. At the end of the presentation, we'll review the questions and comments posted and generate a discussion. We can also unmute those who have audio capabilities at the end of the workshop. We will also provide opportunities to engage during the workshop through poll questions as well. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be archived on the Swords to Plowshares YouTube channel. We will email you copies of the PowerPoint following the presentation and notify you when the webinar is archived and available to watch. So our presenters for today's workshop are Kevin Miller, Media Relations Specialist at Swords to Plowshares, and he will be joined by Victor Nzunza, Policy Analyst at Swords to Plowshares during the Q&A portion. Kevin Miller is a United States Marine Corps disabled combat veteran. He serves as Swords Media Relations Specialist. He volunteers at Team Red, White, and Blue as San Francisco's Community Engagement Director and serves on the City and County of San Francisco Veterans Affairs Commission. He is currently pursuing his Master's of Public Administration at San Francisco State University and has been recognized as a California State and National Service Leader by AmeriCorps alums for his work with veterans. Victor Nzunza presents He spent 4 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, and he is an OIF veteran who served 2 tours of duty in 2003 and 2004. He has been active in the veteran community since 2008, focusing on access to education for California veterans. He received a bachelor's degree in English from the University of the Pacific and earned his MFA in writing from the University of San Francisco. He served as president for the Student Veterans of America chapter at University of the Pacific. Welcome to you both. We will begin now with Kevin's presentation.
Thank you, Megan. And good afternoon, everybody. Today we'll be going over best practices in social media. Our 4 main topics we'll be going over today will be integrating social media with your strategic goals and target audiences in mind, going over content strategies, going over the specifics of holiday and other crowdfunding or advocacy campaigns, and then we'll go over how to track and analyze your results from your social media. More than ever, nonprofits want to focus on their branding. Branding is typically more of a private sector topic, but branding has become more and more important for nonprofits nowadays. A nonprofit is most powerful when the organization's internal identity and external image are aligned with each other and with its values and mission. A strong brand is increasingly seen as critical in helping to build operational capacity, galvanize support in your community, and maintain focus on the mission that your organization has. Strong brands in all sectors help organizations acquire financial, human, and social resources and help build key partnerships in your communities. The key to branding is making sure you have a cohesive message and communications. One of the tools we use here at Swords is our style guide. In our style guide, we have consolidated and centralized all our preferred choices for fonts, layouts, organizational logos, and our color guides and color schemes. This makes sure we have a cohesive message both internally and externally. This helps build trust in your brand and elicits that trust in the community and provides organizations with the authority and credibility to deploy effectively and efficiently in their communities, and will outshine weaker brands that do not have a cohesive message. A good part of going in from branding and having a cohesive message is key to establishing relationships in the community. Communication is amongst our different organizations is key, and our partners can be great resources that can help spread the word of your work and events. An example on the screen we have here is a couple weeks ago, our employment and training department partnered with Court. They are a furniture company up here in the Bay Area for a strategic hiring event. Leading up to the event, about a month ahead of time, we started recruiting veterans for this specific hiring event, where we have anywhere from 6 to a dozen veterans come and interview, and with about at least 75% of them will be guaranteed a job at the end. And then after a good way to use this and continue the message, besides the pre-messaging before the event, is to do a short recap of the event. Blogging is a big thing, and most people think that blogs have to be these long form, really in-depth articles, but in reality they just need to be a couple paragraphs just going over the schematics of what just happened and occurred at your guys' event. And so with publishing just a short blog, it makes for good content on putting on your social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then when you actually put these messages on your channels, make sure to tag your partners, like tagging Court for this instance in this message. Make sure that they are notified that we are putting a message about them and that they reshare it with their channels and networks. And it gives them the credibility as well as partnering with other nonprofits in their community. So it builds up a little bit of a mutual relationship that promotes both your organization and their organization as well. And this is key to help building your brand in the community and showing the effectiveness that relationships have with other organizations, which are absolutely vital in accomplishing your mission. When you're establishing relationships, use the same guidelines in sharing your organization's content when sharing any partner's content. Right here, we have an example from one of our grantees working wardrobes. They have a great post right here, recognizing Roth staffing companies. They just had a nice little recap. From Roth, they made sure to thank Roth for doing the little post that was recognizing their partnership. And then that way it exposes both to their communities as well as Roth's communities. That way it doubles your exposure and introduces you to new audiences that you might not have priorly been introduced to before. Best practices for outreach using online tools. What we do here at Swords, we have a fairly large staff nowadays. We have almost 200 on staff through our 8 housing programs and 2 drop-in centers. With that, we have a lot of staff that's always out and engaged in the community in one facet or another, promoting their work or trying to find vets to bring in to seek our services. And with that, I try to encourage all our staff members to take photos while they're out in the community, and then email them to our communications team. Not every organization, I realize, will have a communications team, so in this instance, I would suggest identifying a point person within your organization and letting other staff members know after an event or outreach engagement opportunity is completed, that just go ahead and attach the photos and email them over to you. That way you can start stockpiling good images for social media content. What we try to do here at SOARS is continue to stockpile on photos throughout the year through our different events, because I'm a big proponent on not using stock photos. I think we've all seen them before, seen many other VSOs use the same stock photo veterans. And to me, they're not really authentic, and they really don't display the mission or the clientele you are serving. So if you can, encourage your staff members to take photos while they're out and engaging with people, because that shows the real authentic side of your guys' mission, and also will both reach new veterans who actually can see who your organization serves, and as well as introduce yourself into the community and give that real heartfelt images and really compel them to get involved. Another best practice that we want to do with is always promoting your next outreach event in the community, and is using social media to actually promote and drive that event. So if you do not have a communications team to actually help you design any of the graphics, you can just use your photos that you have in your images that you've been compiling, and you can attach those to your social media postings on the different channels. And then make sure to promote that on every channel that your organization's utilizing, whether it's Facebook events, Twitter, Eventbrite, LinkedIn, or even Instagram. Best practices for outreach: you want to continually develop and practice your elevator pitch. You probably have heard this all before, especially when you're trying to go elicit donations within the community from both corporations or privately through individuals. Is you want to have a good 60 to 120 second elevator pitch based on your organization. Besides just having a very short, succinct elevator pitch, you want to develop talking points based on facts from your organization. Talking points serves as guides for conversations you have with veterans, supporters, potentially the media, or other partners in the community. These will demonstrate your impact, and then also leverage your technical expertise in the field of serving veterans. Outreach in the community is extremely important to draw veterans in for services, as well as potentially identifying new revenue streams in one capacity or another. So when you're out conducting outreach in the community, you want to convert your contacts that you meet into followers on your social media or other online tools. So always direct the people that you come into contact with in outreach events to go to your website, and also get them to sign up for your email newsletter. You can either do that by collecting their business card and inputting them when you get back to your office, or asking them to engage and follow you during your conversation with them. Make sure you always distribute in business and exchange business cards when possible, and then immediately add those contacts in when you get back to the office. That way you don't lose any opportunities a couple weeks, couple months down the line, when you're trying to identify new partners for a new initiative, and you try to go back and you forgot to plug someone in and lost a business card. So if you make this routine after every event, you won't lose any potential good contacts or leads to continue to develop new partners in your community. Communicating your events. The importance of communicating your events is you want to ensure people are aware of what's going on with your organization. Timeliness, consistency, and repetition are key to making sure the community is aware of what you are currently engaged with. You want to make sure to email a complete description of who, what, why, and where to about the event to your audience. Internally, our organization has developed an outreach and events calendar. This this has centralized all our different public events our staff is currently involved or potentially engaged in. Since we have about 12 different programs here at the organization and are actually spread throughout the Bay Area, we have many staff members who are involved in multiple things concurrently. The outreach and events calendar allows myself on the communication side to check on the events our staff is doing and help promote them or eventually or possibly tag along with them to take photos, to possibly do write-ups on the event. And if I can't be there myself, I try to engage with that staff member ahead of time to make sure they capture photos or do a brief write-up. And then I'll work with that individual afterwards to do a little write-up on a recap of the event. And I'll actually either have them do a little write-up or I'll work with them and do the write-up for them, but just doing a quick interview with questions. And so JVS, great example of communicating events at Facebook here is from JVS Los Angeles. Is they're advertising one of their events for ladies. It's Ladies Let Us Gather, and they use a great hashtag right here, is hashtag woman to woman. This is great using event-specific hashtag. It's one of the times I recommend using specific hashtags are for events. And then they actually tag other community partners and individuals in their post with a URL tracker right there so they can look back on their analytics and see how many click-throughs they got besides registrants to see how far their impact of their messaging actually worked. And this is great on the analysis side, so in the future you may tailor your messages a little better to make them more effective. For best practices in communicating events, for larger events here at our organization, we tend to start promoting 6 to 8 weeks prior to the event. For medium-sized events, let's say anything under 100 people, I'd say we recommend promoting anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks prior. And for for smaller, intimate events like the strategic hiring fair we had earlier, we just need anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple days prior ahead of time, depending on what the actual objective of the event is. And so one of the examples we have here is from VVSD in San Diego. They just have a nice little tweet right here. Please join us tomorrow for the second annual flag run. It's just real succinct to the point, has the address and time and place. The only thing I suggest here in the future is to actually either set up an Eventbrite or as a Facebook event to actually have a link, and then you can actually track who registers or is going to be at the event, like a sign-up form. And then a third option besides setting up an Eventbrite or a Facebook event would be just to do a simple Google form. You want to do this because if people aren't in your mailing system, this is another way to capture emails and contacts and then import them to your email newsletter or convert those contacts into your followers. Events that need to be recorded can easily have an Eventbrite page set up to track registration. I suggest and recommend Eventbrite because it's very social media friendly. After someone's registers, they can easily do a social share to Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn saying and promoting that they are attending your event. And then it will also tag your organization, which makes it easier to do on reshares and expand your potential impact of your messaging. We host our events both on our website and our Facebook events calendar. We can only fit so much on our website, so we tend to host more events on our Facebook events calendar. I'll show you it later when we go over the insights and analytics of how you can actually add other organizations or your partner organizations events to your Facebook event calendar. This is great to be to co-promote events and develop your relationships and other partnerships in the community. especially if you have multiple organizations gathering to co-host or collaborate on an event. All your events can maybe be promoted across any of your social media platforms, and they should always be included in your monthly newsletter, giving your followers and subscribers a chance to see what's upcoming and ways they can get involved with your organization. And then also, we do quite frequent all-staff emails to encourage our colleagues to share our events with the social networks. So we'll do about once every other week, I'll make sure to send an all-staff email with a couple of our Facebook and Twitter posts, as well as maybe any events coming up. And that way staff knows ways they can actually participate in events within the organization, maybe even cross-departmentally, or how they can help promote their colleagues' work that they're doing in their departments for their events. And this has gone a long way to bring other staff members that might not traditionally work together involved with each other, and also of how they can help build their own professional brands using their own social media profiles. The next big thing when you're out in the community is capturing content for your stories. Social media is basically storytelling. Storytelling is key to capture your audience and build your community. Just to reiterate earlier, like encouraging staff members is to email photos. Besides just emailing the photos, ask them to put the who, what, where, why, and when of the photo, and just a brief snippet on why it should be shared on the organization's online channels. This way, if you are not actually involved, you have a little bit of context to help you develop the social media messaging most appropriately per channel you are actually utilizing. Because you can actually go, as most of you already know, can have a lot more long form on Facebook, but you might need to be really short and succinct for Twitter. It's kind of tough sometimes to get in that 140 character limit. I know everybody knows that already, but you might have to just tweak those just slightly per platform. Besides just taking photos, it's how to take good photos. Being a lot of websites have actually moved to being mobile friendly. So taking pictures on the phone are actually great because a lot of them are very easy optimized for the new mobile friendly platforms. And so I've actually come up with some brief suggestions on how staff members can take better photos. And they just go as follows. So everybody pretty much has a smartphone nowadays, and they're actually fairly small. So the best way is to actually tilt it horizontally to capture photos. And high-res photos that you're taking off your smartphones are perfect for social media. If you take a nice clear image, just make sure to look carefully through the camera to ensure it's focused. Good lighting makes a difference, but with the newer phones in the i7 and on the Android side, they actually have low light capabilities, so this is becoming less and less of an impact for even amateur photographers. If you can, when you're taking a photo, make sure they have their back facing the window or other bright light, and make sure the subject of the photo is not standing with their back to a huge light source. And if you can, try to capture your logo or any other branding in the photo. This will just continue to reinforce in your community and build your brand. All right. Right now, we're going to be launching our first poll question. What online tools do you use for outreach? I'll go ahead and give you all about 60 to 75 seconds to answer that. Go ahead and select as many of the tools as you use, and then we'll go ahead and read the results off in about a minute or so.
Oh, Kevin, I believe that you are self-muted, so I'm not sure if you're speaking right now.
Sorry about that. Okay. Next thing we'll be going over is as the results real quick is everybody is using email as they well should. We have about 75% of the organizations uh, using Facebook, about 40% using Twitter, over 60% using LinkedIn, and about 25% using YouTube, Instagram, or any other social media channel. This is pretty much about standard across the board for nonprofits right now. And then we're going to go ahead and discuss some ways to actually expand on those channels and amplify your impact using those channels. So we'll go over some of the guidelines and tips on how your organizations can do that. Individuals and departments, we recommend that they are not permitted to create their own social media profiles in the name of the organization unless they have proper consent. We encourage individuals to create their own profiles within their own name. And then as well as encouraging them to create their own individual profiles, we encourage them to identify themselves as staff in their Facebook About sections, Twitter bios, or LinkedIn profiles. This is important because this will actually add to your organization's SEO results and amplify your traffic both on your website and your social media profiles because you have more individuals that are basically identifying themselves as employees. So it basically plays with the Google SEO and helps you guys out a little bit. And this also goes a long way to let others know in the community that that individual who's sharing the content is work related, is actually working at that organization, and they can possibly reach out to that person for more questions and follow-up. Sharing work-related content is not mandatory at our organization, but outreach on social media serves as a great way to spread the word about the work our staff is doing and the overall efforts of the organization. Cultivating your social media presence. There's a number of ways you can actually do this. One of the easiest way is to just reshare your content and content from partner organizations. What I mean by reshare your content is like content that you currently already host on your website, content that you've previously either written about or have published, and then are just putting it out there again to just remind people that you guys are actively involved or doing this program or service. Social media is about engagement. So be sure to engage in social conversations. If you have fans or followers commenting on your posts, go ahead and engage them in a conversation. If they're giving you a compliment, make sure you say thank you. If they said they donated, give them a thanks and ask them to share. Or if they have a question, make sure you give them a timely response. Because nowadays, once you open an online channel, people almost have it as an expectation that you will get back to them pretty rapidly, especially if it is on some online channel. Another way to engage in social conversation is participate in Twitter or other online chats like on Reddit forums. These are good ways to get involved with others who are like-minded or potentially identify new clients to bring into your programs and services. If creating original posts, you want to use the appropriate size image per social media platform. We will be sending out in the follow-up the social media cheat sheet. This references specific image sizes per platform. What most people don't know is that each image size, both your profile image, both the image posts, and different ways you lay out image on the variety of social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they are actually all different sizes. And if you don't actually format them correctly, they will actually start to skew a little bit and look very blurry, and you won't get the most effective message out of that using those types of images. When posting any original posts, don't forget to either tag yourself, i.e. the organization, or yourself as an individual, or other people or organizations that are identified in those posts. A key thing, especially on Facebook, in order to tag somebody on Facebook, an individual on Facebook, they have to already be a follower or like your page. So make sure like staff likes your page so you can actually tag them and amplify your message that way. Hashtags should be integrated in a post when possible, especially on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Those are the big three that uses hashtags. LinkedIn actually doesn't. You actually want to use no more than 3 hashtags per post. If you become too hashtag heavy, you'll actually lose some of the value in the messaging. Unless you're on Instagram, then you can actually go up to 40 hashtags, and that's just a whole another beast. But for Twitter and Facebook, I recommend using 2 to 3 hashtags and developing common hashtags. Here at Swords, we use 3 common hashtags. We use support vets, hashtag vets helping vets, and hashtag veterans. And then we'll occasionally use like hashtag women vets, Vietnam vets, or any other specific smaller demographic of veterans to maybe identify them in a post. For the most part, we only generate custom hashtags for events only. So going back to JVLS's event earlier, hashtag woman to woman, that was a perfect example of how to use a hashtag specifically for an event, because hashtags basically allocate all postings under that same hashtag. So if you want to promote your event and others to promote your event, use a custom hashtag to make sure it's unique and that others can basically seek out the event by just searching for that hashtag. Now we're going to go in the specifics of each social media profile. So, and we'll just use Swords as an example. And so for this, we have our standard custom URL is Vets Helping Vets. So it's facebook.com Vets Helping Vets. We encourage all our staff members to invite their Facebook friends to like our page, and then we make sure to ask our partners or other organizations to like our Facebook pages. This can actually invites can be sent by going to your Facebook homepage, and it should be on the right hand side. There should be a section where it says invite your friends, and just go ahead, click on that, and go ahead and select them all. I pretty much have had about 75% of my friends list like our organization. As an admin on Facebook, make sure to like and reshare Facebook posts from partner organizations. This goes back to the point of playing nice with your partners and making sure that the message is not always about you and that it's more of a collaborative effort of you and your partners in the community. This goes to building up your own brand as well as building up your partner's brand, and then you guys all become a little bit stronger together. On Facebook, the way we are tagged in Facebook are 2 ways. It's just either you always have to hit the @. You can either hit @Swords2Plowshares or hit @Vets Helping Vets to tag us. Depending on how your organizations have set up your admin profiles on Business Manager, either you have to hit and then type in your organization name, or and whatever the custom URL that has been created for your Facebook page has been. You want to tag yourself in any photos that the organization posts, especially individuals. This just goes to help individuals promote their own professional credibility on social media. And if you can't tag yourself on an organization's post, that's just probably because you haven't liked the page yet. So just go ahead and do that, and you should be able to do that. Um, our frequency of posting here is about 1 to 2 messages per day on Facebook. Anything really more than that, I found out through our insights and analysis, we kind of lose traction on how many people will actually reach with a posting. So we usually try not to go beyond the 1 to 2 messages a day unless we have a really, really big campaign, whether it's an advocacy campaign around our policy work or if it's, let's say, a crowdfunding holiday campaign for online donations. On Twitter, we have actually a variety of channels. Twitter is the one channel we have other departments create their own handle. So our main channel is at Vets Helping Vets. Some of you might ask, why is it not at Swords to Plowshares? Well, actually, Swords to Plowshares is too long for the character limits for a Twitter handle, so that's why we're Vets Helping Vets for the Twitter handle. And with that, we have 3 departments of ours that actually have their own handles. Our employment and training department is Job for Vets. So they always share messages around the events that they're promoting, the partners that they're currently working with. They give resume advice on there, hold LinkedIn advice, and then promote latest trends of employment, both here in the Bay Area and nationally, and keep their messages very much geared around employment and the latest trends around that. Our Swords Pro Bono promotes all our legal and pro bono services. That's very much promotes all our legal advocacy, especially around our less than honorable discharges and disability compensation and pension benefits. And as well as we are heavily involved with the Veterans Legal Hub here in San Francisco. So we have a number of other legal organizations we collaborate with to provide legal services for veterans. And with that, it makes it really easy to share our partners information about how they serve vets and how to also potentially refer clients over to them when we encounter them for those specific needs. Retweet and liking partner organizations posts. Twitter has recently let people actually see how you like it, but resharing and retweeting is what actually gets more exposure. So I try to tell people to go beyond the like and actually get that retweet and actually share that on your channels. You want to also tag any of the partner organizations in the Twitter handles for any work-related tweets. So you can actually do that right at the bottom of your tweet, and we'll go ahead and show that a little bit later when we go over the insights. Typically, at Swords, we tweet at least 2 to 4 times per workday, unless we're participating in a Twitter chat or there is just a big messaging day. Let's say something hit the presses, and we have to respond or we want to get involved and actually make comments on the particular topic. LinkedIn is probably the best channel for what everybody in our employment collaborative is doing here. LinkedIn is, of course, the biggest social media channel for employment and potentially of employers. So we actually have 2 channels. We have our main channel for Swords to Plowshares, and our employment and training department actually has a showcase page. What this is our main organization page actually posts messages about everything going on in Swords, and then our showcase page is pretty much similar to our Twitter, but a little bit more in depth and tailored to LinkedIn's audience, and specifically about everything that is involved with our employment and training program and the opportunities that arise for veterans in the employment field through our services here at Swords. And on LinkedIn, you can also reshare and like partner organizations posts. So you make sure to follow different organizations, follow your partner organizations. And when they post something, go ahead and give it a like or reshare. And if you can, when you're resharing it, you can actually tag organizations on LinkedIn. So you would have to hit the at button. as well as hit whatever the organization uses as their custom URL. We typically don't really post more than one message per workday on LinkedIn. And if you do that, LinkedIn says you hit about 75% of your audience every week with one message per day, 5 days a week. Instagram is a great channel, especially for giving visual content. The one drawback I would say for Instagram, it actually doesn't do anything to help out your SEO, which is search engine optimization, and actually driving traffic to your website. So when you actually so most of your posts, like say if you're putting a link to your employment page on your website, on Facebook and Twitter, it's very easy. That actually drives traffic to your website. Since you can't actually install links in your posts on Instagram except in your bio, you would have to do an Instagram post by saying, oh, link is in the bio. So, or let's say if you're advertising for an event coming up, then you would have to put in the message, link is in the bio, which that makes it a few clicks away and a little bit harder to actually drive traffic or get people to follow through on registering for your event. But Instagram is phenomenal for actually showing visual content, getting people to like or share your posts, and it's an easy way to tag other organizations and get your messages to new audiences. You can use up to 40 hashtags in a post. This is important because people actually search out pictures to like and share by specific hashtags. So if you, when you start generating hashtags on Instagram, it should show you how many approximate posts there are. My recommendation is use only hashtags on Instagram that have a lot of posts already. You really don't want to use custom hashtags on this because no one will actually end up seeing them. So use the higher frequency they've been posted, the more likely you'll get to a new audience and more people actually see your post. And for Instagram, we typically only post one message per day. A lot of that has to do with basically stockpiling more photos from our outreach events from the community. So as we stockpile more high-res images, that frequency can actually uptick. So and we hope to do that over the course of the next year because Instagram is one of actually the fastest growing social media channels out there. And as you all know from this presentation right here, we use YouTube here. We'll be recording this presentation and uploading it to YouTube. Besides doing our educational presentation and curricula on YouTube, we do a number of videos that we host online. If you end up going to our page, we actually have our latest Profile Courage awardees. So last month we had our Veterans Day dinner where we nominated and honored 2 veterans who have been through our services who have shown perseverance through pretty tough odds, and we recognize their services. And we did short 3 to 6 minute videos basically going over that individual's experience and recognizing their achievements. And with this, how to do videos a little bit more. This we'll go over this in here in just a moment. Besides also hosting honoree videos, we do get occasional news clips and blurbs about that. So in a way, so if let's say a local news station does a quick segment on your story, if they actually upload that video to their YouTube channel, you can go to their page and select that video and actually add it to your page. So that's one way you can actually start getting high quality videos without actually producing them yourself. So if another organization actually publishes on their YouTube channel, you can actually just select it and share it onto your page without actually uploading it like an original video. And then also make sure to watch and like partner organizations' videos and to share them on your other social media platforms. If you go to to actual videos, you'll see there's a share button for easy social shares per platform. I suggest as an admin that you share those videos from YouTube itself, because it will actually attach the video in all the platforms. Because sometimes if you just take out the URL and put it in the platform, it might just give the link and not actually attach the video to your full message. All right, we're going to be launching poll number 2 right now in just a moment. All right, with this question, what does your organization use social media for? General awareness, advocacy, veterans outreach, media outreach, fundraising. Select as many as you need. All right, let's go ahead and share the results real quick. So it looks like everybody here uses it for general awareness for the organization. Nearly 60% use it for advocacy purposes. Over 85% use it for outreach to veterans and new clients. Nearly 60% use it for media outreach. This is actually a really great tool, and I'm happy to hear that. And over 85% use it for fundraising purposes. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on from here. I'm going to close these results. All right. Oh, sorry about that. So I know this is probably one of the biggest questions I at least received at our in-person event back in October. Crowdfunding and holiday campaigns and how to raise money online. Crowdfunding and holiday campaigns especially is a system that has been implemented to almost like gamify donations. And so with that, you want to make incentives for people, and how to establish a crowdfunding or a holiday fundraising campaign. You want to set a theme and a financial goal for your campaign, and make sure you want to be realistic on your goal. You can always raise the bar later, but you never really want to fall short, because it'll actually make it hard on your messaging, and we'll go over that as we go on the guidelines and tips on this. A typical crowdfunding campaign usually runs from anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Our best results over the last few years, we usually run ours for about 6 weeks. Anything more than that, we've noticed a little bit of what we call donor fatigue, is putting constant emails and social media messages out around strictly soliciting donations can be fatiguing for individuals, especially around this time of year when they're getting bombarded by pretty much every nonprofit and all the other holiday shopping and hubbub that goes on around this time of year. To actually prep an online campaign, we suggest 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time before launch. This is because this is not your priority in your mission. So you'll need, an hour or two a day to spend a little time collecting photos, formatting to make sure they're optimized, come up with your preset tweets or Facebook messages, and then that way you're not being reactionary, that you have everything ahead of time and scheduled. That way you can go ahead and keep up with your main priority, which is to get veterans jobs. To gamify the system on a crowdfunding campaign, I suggest finding the platform that works for you. That means you might hear of many platforms out there like Razoo, CrowdRise, or Fundly, Indiegogo. You really need to find what is a good match for your organization. A lot of these platforms, especially around Giving Tuesday and for holiday campaigns, offer bonuses for competing against other nonprofits, or potentially matches. So before you actually launch a campaign, I suggest doing a little research on what funding platforms you might want to actually utilize with your organization. And if you do, make sure you try to stick with that platform each campaign, because each platform is actually slightly different. And so you want to make sure you're actually cohesive on using the same platform again and again, because that's the platform your community is going to become familiar with. And if you guys have suggestions or want suggestions later on, I'll give you my email at the end of this, and we can go over that a little bit more offline. Typically, we've actually used another platform, and this year we've gone with a new one called Hand Up. They're a new organization out here in the Bay Area, and Google.org has actually given us a $15,000 match for our crowdfunding campaign this year. So for every dollar raised, they will match up to $15,000. So this is what I mean about gamifying the fundraising aspect, is that with a dollar for dollar match, you can put messages like double your impact with your donation, 2 for 1, make it real nice and easy, and it helps incentivize people to do more if they know their money's going farther. And then this goes back to our theme, is we set a theme for our holiday campaign. It's been called Cool Nights, Warm Hearts, and this is actually the 30th year we've been running our holiday event. And so this has become very cohesive, and our community has recognized this year and usually hits us up this time of year to volunteer for this event or get involved because they've become familiar with this name over the course of 3 decades. And so so with that, we've our financial goals on our page. We kind of put like basically tiered limits. So we try to put like different, like what does a $10 donation provide? What does a $25 donation provide? What does a $100 donation provide? What does $500 donation provide? That way it gives people a little bit of context of what their money is going to towards your theme. This doesn't necessarily mean that all money raised in this campaign is going dedicated to this specific thing that you are promoting, because all these funds are actually should be unrestricted. You just promote it around a specific theme to give something tangible for your audience to get their head and wrap around where their money's going. A great acronym to in setting up your holiday campaigns is SMART. Specific, measurable, obtainable, realistic, and timely. These are the goals you want to set when prepping and running your holiday campaign. And a great example this year is Easter Seals SoCal. They're doing an empowerment campaign this holiday. It's a nice brief message, learn about our empowerment campaign, how you can make a difference, and then they got a nice picture attached to it, directing them towards a website. Sharing your campaign. This is how to continue to amplify your impact while you're using social media for crowdfunding. There are actually certain steps you want to do to launch your campaign correctly. After you actually create the campaign and upload your page, you want to, before it actually launches publicly, make sure you and your staff share it with your inner network first. So it got to go to your colleagues and board members first, and then you ask them to share with 5 friends. This will go ahead and give you a nice little basically seed, the beginning part of the crowdfunding campaign. That way, when you come out with your first messages to the general public, you already have a few dollars in your fund. And that way it kind of gets the ball rolling on that campaign and hopefully generates more interest in for people in your cause. After people make a donation on a platform like HandUp or CrowdRise, make sure you thank your donor. And then not only thank them, ask them to share the campaign again with 5 friends. Again, you want the multiplier effect. If they already donated, then I'm pretty sure they are almost more than willing to share this with their friends and family. Then after you do these things, you want to kick off by emailing your newsletter list and letting your community of followers and subscribers know that you're kicking off your crowdfunding campaign. Then that's when you start hitting the social media. You'll probably post your crowdfunding campaign more frequently than the guidelines I gave you a little bit earlier per platform on how frequent you want to post daily. But I'll also keep in mind during crowdfunding campaigns, make sure that you continue to put out your regular general awareness messages, your outreach events, and other things going on with your organization, because that will keep your community from feeling any sort of donor fatigue from the amount of donor solicitations they might get over at this time of year. During follow-up posts on social media or in your email distribution list, make sure each update your followers on your progress. So today, after Giving Tuesday launched, we raised nearly $2,500. So today's post about donations is like, thanks to our supporters, we've raised nearly $2,500. We're about 10% away to our goal. Can you make a donation or share this with your networks to help us, get towards our goal? This way, when it's a little bit closer to your goal, more people will probably might want to donate and chip in to make sure you actually hit that finish line. And so our example right here is from our Director of Resource Development and Communications Director, or my boss, Colleen. So she made sure on Giving Tuesday that she reshared our organization's message with her friends and family, and then also told her network that she donated herself to encourage, basically said, I donated, you should donate too. So it's a great way to get people actively involved. All right, next we'll be going over analyzing your social media impact. So we'll be actually going over 2 platforms on this. We'll be just going over the Facebook Insights and Twitter Insights today, because those are pretty much our big 2 when it comes to social media. And so I will actually be switching it to our admin pages here in just a second. All right. So this is our Facebook Business Manager page. As most of you might know, if you guys run the admin side of Facebook, so this is what I go to basically learn about how effective our messaging is doing out from our organization's channel. So the big numbers, what I want to set up, so right up top you have your page, notifications and insights. It goes what's been happening over the last week right up at top. Then the next is your 5 most recent posts, as well as you can look farther, more in depth of your latest post from there. The numbers you really want to focus on in the post published is actually, hold on one sec. Let me go back to the overview. Is post published is, sorry about that. There are 2 big numbers you really want to focus on. You want to focus on reach and engagement. These are more important than likes. So the higher these numbers are is actually the more people that are actually seeing your message. So on the lower ones, this is just actually us liking another page, so you'll never pretty much get anything off that. But here's one of our most recent reports of our Veterans Mental Health Summit. Right here is another message that was doing really well. This is a story went out about a homeless veteran who obtained housing through our services out in East Bay that was published in East Bay Times. So since it was published in a local paper by a couple reporters, it's has a little bit more exposure on the resharing since it's coming from a bigger publication. And then of course we have just some of our general awareness messaging from like USA Today has done really well with the article, and then our crowdfunding campaigns. And so from here, I'll look at our post to see how many clicks and engagements are doing, and I'll look how well our crowdfunding campaign is in case I want to tweak the messaging for the next update I want to give our followers and subscribers. And then the next section below this is really important. It's pages to watch. What we've done here is we've added all the other VSOs that we work with for the most part. And I just kind of track on what everybody's doing, how everybody's doing. So from this, these are all the bigger national organizations that we all know of. For the most part, these are not as achievable for organizations that are a bit more local and hyper-focused, such as the organizations on our employment collaborative. But they're always what I like to make the goals of our organization for our communications ideals eventually. And so right here, as you can see, our organization, you always want to see the green. As long as you are seeing growth from week to week, you're doing it right. And that doesn't have to be significant growth. As long as you have at least a 0.1%, you are continuing to grow and expand. And the way you look at that from there is how many frequency of posts, and then you can compare to other pages to see how what other organizations are doing, how frequent they're posting, because maybe it is a more effective strategy for their organization and their mission. And then you also want to look at engagement. The higher the engagement this week, that means more people are actually sharing your articles, commenting, or using those new little emojis like love, haha, mad, or angry face. And y'all might give a little laugh about that, but going beyond just using a like and using one of the emoji statuses for your posts will actually get you more exposure than just the traditional like, because Facebook has a little algorithm where it gives them a little boost for emotions versus the traditional like. And so with these, and then, so that's just a basic overview. Here's all our organizations. We're all, pretty much around the same size, frequency, everything. And this is where we could do a lot of help to each other by resharing the activities all of us are doing in our own areas, and we can become probably all a little bit better on that. The next area I really like to look in on the insights is, of course, reach, which is right up here. We'll go to that section real quick. Well, my computer's running a little slow. Sorry about that, folks. I'll just go to post. Since it is running slow, on the reach section, it will just show how many people you reach, usually daily, and then it'll also show at what times of the day people are actually visiting your page. And so on this page, you'll look at those times because you want to try to align the peak time people are visiting your page with the posts. So if you see most people are coming on your page between 3 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you probably want to post during that time to get your best exposure. But if it's pretty flat all the way through, experiment with different times. Post in the morning, maybe mid-afternoon, maybe one at the end of the day. And it could even be the same message. And that way you can start to see what your fans and your audience likes to visit and share your message. And then next we'll be going over Twitter. The way you look on your insights on Twitter is you go to your main page on your profile, and in the right-hand corner, you'll see your tweet activity. Just click on View Your Top Tweets. And this is where we go into our insights for our Twitter analytics. You can actually export all this data. That's up to you how in the weeds you want to get on this. This is the last month of our impression rate. You can go anything up to 6 months on this and update it. We'll just look in the last month for now. And so you can see our frequency. Of course, at the beginning of the month, it's a lot higher traffic. Most of us know the reasons why for that. Of course, Veterans Day. So with the amount of news and everything around both out in the community and what our organization is doing, we had a lot of messaging going out. A lot of people were tagging us. A lot of people were messaging us. So we had really high organic impression rates. And then as you can tell, it was a little quiet during the Thanksgiving week, but that was the holidays, and we were closed for business for a couple of days. And then as you could tell, we went back to more of our normal frequency right here. And this is where you start to actually analyze your top tweets. Of course, you want the big numbers here you want to focus on are impressions, engagements, and engagement rate. The higher impression rates is just how far your tweet was actually seen and how far the reach was. Your engagements is the same thing as how many people shared it, liked it, or commented on it. And then, of course, you always want a positive engagement rate. The higher that number is just the more people that actually were involved in that tweet. And this is where you want to focus on pretty much your evergreen messaging. So for right now, our evergreen messaging is messaging we put in all the time, like just basic come in for our housing services, or we do disability and compensation claims if you need legal services. So I'll look at the tweets to see if I need to tailor those generic messages to have a higher impression or engagement rate. And then also this is a great way to identify very popular posts that you may want to use again. So our posts around bad paper seem to do really well because a lot of we're very much known for our work around that. So a lot of our audience is very familiar and tends to share that more than others. And so knowing that, I try to put that message out there a little bit more frequently versus some of our other programs and services. And then for the most part, you want to continue to grow these channels. So when I look back month to month, I just want to make sure that each month that we're getting just a little bit better than we were last month, because if we're growing, that means more veterans know about our services, the community knows how involved we are, and potentially bring in more partners, and which hopefully leads to more money for your organization so you can serve more vets. And with that, I'm going to go actually turn it to Megan for the Q&A.
All right, thank you, Kevin. And now we'd like to open up a discussion with the audience. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask them via the question box on the right side of your screen, and we'll do our best to go through them all. If you've asked a question at any time during the training, we'll address those now as well. So getting started. From Donita at US Vets, what are SEO results?
All right. SEO results are search engine optimization. So that's basically how you go into Google and you, let's say, type in your organization, US Vets or just Veteran Services LA. It's how high you show up on those search results. And so the more popular, the more exposure you have, the higher you will end up on those search results. So you want to continue to expand on your SEO so you come up higher on those search results. So if I was a veteran down in LA, say I want to look employment services for veterans. If you have a high trafficked website, you have big social media channels, and you also, do Google ads and Google AdWords, which is a lot of very technical back-end stuff, you can actually pump out your results a little bit more so more people see your message. And so that's basically what SEO is just how much exposure your online tools have.
Great, thanks, Kevin. From Monica at Working Wardrobes, she had a question about software to monitor different platforms. Do you suggest any particular software to monitor your different platforms?
I think that's all a matter of preference. What I use mostly is I use a security password system called LastPass. With LastPass, it actually is basically a password vault that will store and encrypt all your passwords, and also give you the ability to share those accounts with others. And so what we've done here, we can actually put certain of our social media channels under a generic account. So we come up with a generic email and then give multiple users authorization to log on. And by having LastPass, it's very easy for me to, log in on my iPhone, to post from any of the social media channels, to log on my iPad or my laptop. So it makes me very versatile when I'm out in the field, and also it gives me the ability to delegate to others that have consent to be involved in that. So that's a very good software system to do that, because if you have, I want to say we have over a dozen social media channels and email channels that I monitor just myself. And with that, without having a password software system, I probably wouldn't be able to remember all those passwords on my own. So that's one way that helps me through all those channels. And with that, another way is making sure I add all my accounts on my iPhone and iPad and have them preset in. You can do that on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where you can actually switch between your individual profile and your organizational profile immediately if you plug it in. There's a switch account user feature on all those platforms that make it really easy. And then when it comes to monitoring, I usually just look on the insights per platform, and I, for the most part, only focus on Facebook and Twitter because they're the big two. The others, ones that are a little bit smaller, as long as I see more followers and more likes, I know they're doing better. I don't really need to get in the weeds too much on those. But I do know some people that really enjoy Hootsuite for Twitter, or like TweetDeck. But Hootsuite's probably a better one just because you could do a little bit with Facebook and Twitter. But sometimes scheduling those posts from Hootsuite on a Facebook, they don't come out too great. And it's just easier to actually schedule on the Facebook platform itself. I hope that answers your question just a little bit.
And then what about to instead of just monitoring, to help with some of the analytics? Is there any software that you recommend, or do you just recommend going straight to the platform analytics themselves?
Yeah, so I'd suggest going straight to the platform itself. This is also a good opportunity for your organizations to solicit for new volunteers. A big trend in nonprofit communities is soliciting for what you might have heard of called skill-based volunteers. And so if you guys don't have the institutional knowledge in your organization, put out a little, just a call for help on a social media. It's like, hey, we're looking for a volunteer to help us analyze and optimize our SEO on the back end. That's something we actually do here at Swords, is myself and my colleague, because we're fortunate enough to be in near google.org, is we actually hit up some Google employees and to volunteer for us about every once or twice a year, and then we'll go in the analytics and actually AdWords on Google on the back end and tweak that out a little bit to make sure we are running the most effective campaigns possible.
All right. So you kind of answered this just now, but what do you recommend for organizations with smaller staff who don't have a robust communications department? Can you recommend anything else aside from volunteers?
So for smaller staffs, this is where collaboration and teamwork amongst your staff is very, very crucial. And so my suggestion is you have multiple admins per platform. Is that meaning you have just multiple staff members who are almost like co-promoters. And then you can basically schedule out days. You can say, hey, you get Monday, make sure you post something to Facebook and Twitter. Or you take this week, I'll take next week. And that you guys can set up a little bit of routine, but it's not taken away from your main objectives of your positions. And then with the small staffs, continuing to take pictures on your own and building up your portfolios with that way when you're producing messages later, you already have stuff on stock and you're not having to create what I like to call original content. You're just kind of going back in to your vault and seeing like, hey, what I got here that I can use to promote. And so if you start generating and capturing a little bit more stories while you're out in the community, that's all right. And then with that is like, don't be afraid of like using photos over and over again if they're your own, because you can repurpose that stuff on your website and as well throughout all your platforms.
Great, thanks, Kevin. And how do you recommend engaging with potential and current employers through LinkedIn and possibly other sites?
All right. LinkedIn's a little bit different. So with engaging with employers, more like we use LinkedIn to identify a search out who's doing the recruiting, who's doing the HR or any of the hiring at organizations. That is what LinkedIn's a real good tool for. So let's say there's a company in your local area that you want to work with that you feel like would be, it has growth opportunity, it's popular, or it just provides a good living wage, is search that company out, find out who's doing the hiring, and shoot them an in message real quick and say, hey, I work at such and such organization. We do, give them your talking points, give them your little elevator pitch, and see if they'd like to connect. LinkedIn, you're probably going to do that more on the individual side versus using your company profile. The company profile is more of just like posting messages of general awareness or what's going on with your organization. So that's how I use LinkedIn more for connecting employers, is to find those specific individuals. And you can actually do that on Twitter as well, is because this is where it's very pertinent when people put that information in their bio, is that you can actually, that individual's already identified, so you can go ahead and follow them, and if they follow you back, you can shoot them an message. But if you follow them, you'll have to tweet at them and say, hey, follow me back so I can message you, or tweet at them and it's like, hey, I'd like to connect to work with you. That's a new way. And to kind of segue into that, Twitter is something I use very actively on the communications end to outreach to media. So I'll follow a lot of journalists that do, especially veterans specific news, and I'll try to engage with them in conversations to make sure they end up following me back. That way I can either email them or inbox them later on with a potential pitch for a story. And that's been a very, very good way to identify new outlets and earn media, as well as bring in new potential journalist partners that have bigger exposure in your community than your own organization.
Great. Is that something that can we like compile a list of some of the people that we follow for our organizations, like recommended following? So it's
Um,
something that we can put together.
if you go to our Twitter profile, we do have a few lists on our Twitter profile. That's a big thing. I actually have like all our grantees within our lists, and then if like our Swords Pro Bono Twitter handle, I have a list with all our pro bono partners since we now have 40 of them. So that's a way where some of our grantees can check out potential listing like that. That's one way to segment them off. Or if you go to any, let's say, like-minded organization or very similar organization, check out who they're following and go ahead and follow them too, because you'll probably end up sharing their content if you guys have a very similar mission.
Great. All right. So the next question is on campaigns. So should the campaign match organization be big organizations like Google, like you used in your example, or can they be more local and even small organizations in their community who might not themselves be very active on social media?
Yeah, they can be anybody actually. They can be either smaller organizations or even individuals. We've used anonymous donations up to like say anonymous donation from $5,000 is matched. Um, it's just mostly identifying some type of funding that you can use to gamify the system. So it doesn't need to be a big organization or corporation. The only advantages of that is that if you tag them in your social media posts, it gets a little bit more exposure. But the more important thing is having a little seed money in so you can use those messages like double your impact or your donation is matched up to, a certain amount of limit. And it doesn't need to be 15,000. It could be just 2 or 3,000 or 5,000. This kind of goes back into that SMART acronym of basically setting realistic goals that are obtainable for your organization. So as long as you get a little seed money versus just starting off at zero will actually help you in your crowdfunding campaigns quite dramatically.
Great. And this is about exposure to original articles. So what can we do to target specific issues that may be getting more exposure in the media and get more traffic to original articles?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Um, more exposure from original articles in the media. Okay, that's kind of like a multi-tiered thing. Is making sure that the original content is going out on all the appropriate channels that your organization utilizes, and also spreading out the times that you actually post those. So, like, let's say you're ready to publish a post that's original content. You don't want to post it on every channel at the same time because most likely a lot of your followers will probably follow you on more than one channel. So if they see it on one, they might not like it or share it on another if it all comes at the same time. So spread it out through the day, get it through other audiences. Make sure you share that internally with your staff, potential partners, especially if the services deal around you. Like let's give an example with we did an original content around mental health that got published. We'd probably send that to our local partners at the VA and other community partners that we work with that issue would really pertain towards them and just ask them to share. Also tag organizations that are very similar or maybe involved in the content, even if they're just mentioned just once. Tag them in the social media messaging. That way they'll hopefully reshare it. And then my last piece of advice with that would be is just keep pushing it out there as much as you can, and just also continue to look at those analytics to see if rephrasing that might be a little bit different. And then that's probably the most you can do with this exposure for original content.
Great, great. Thanks, Kevin. What recommendations do you have for people who may leave negative or controversial comments on your pages?
Whew, that's always going to be a tough one. Negative and controversial comments. So on and I know especially over the last year, social media has become a pretty vile place. So this has become an issue for us. When we actually go on a response, if anybody wants to email me, I could show you how to install a screening guard on your Facebook accounts, but you'll have to email me after this because it's just a little hard to explain online. And right now, what we do with that, what this little screen guide does on the back end is I have a number of phrases in there. That way, it hides almost 99% of comments um, originally. So I have to actually unhide or approve them as an admin. So I can actually kind of hide a lot of those negative comments for the most people. So that when they actually post them, only they actually see that they post it and they don't know that their comment's hidden. So it's not actually being deleted or taken away. It's just kind of silencing the internet troll for a little bit. Um, for the most part, dealing with comments, uh, be nice. Just be nice. Take the high road. See what you can do to help them if you can. Because depending on what the comment actually says or what that individual might be having a mental health crisis. They might be in some kind of trouble or just lashing out because they have a bad day. A lot of the times when I've been really courteous on a reply, I've had people say, "Oh, I just wanted somebody to listen me out." They've been, turned away from other organizations. They've got voicemails. They've, not had their call or emails returned. It's just they're just fed up. So when you just say, "Hey, I'm sorry, this happened. What can I do for you? Email me or give me a call at this, and we'll, figure this out." A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's all I wanted, blah blah blah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lash out." So taking the high road on those things is probably my best piece of advice. And then also just trying to make sure, also just tell your fans you're basically not gonna put up with it. Is that any basically violent, vitriol, or vile comments on your page will be removed. You guys all have the authority and autonomy to control your pages like that, and you all should, because you shouldn't have to deal with infighting on your pages like that, because you guys all have bigger issues and bigger priorities to take care of during your days.
All right. And so we are running out of time here, but I did want to have you mention, I know our playbook is in process, but can you just briefly mention it and how you'll be sending it out as a resource once it's available?
Yeah, so our playbook is basically just a more extensive version of what we went over today, and it will have all the information and then some went on today. That way you guys have a resource and say like, "Hey, what did you go over in the presentation?" Or like, how am I supposed to take photos better? How often am I supposed to, post on Facebook? And also giving you tips on how to, of what you guys should have on stock in your own playbooks. So I'll send over a generic playbook, and basically what you all have to do is insert your own mission statements, insert your own facts about your programs and services, and then you guys can distribute amongst the staffs, and hopefully it will take some of the time that you'll need to construct any of your messaging out.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you to our attendees. Please note that each of you will receive an email by the end of the week asking you to complete a brief survey to evaluate this presentation. Your feedback is very important to us, and it's greatly appreciated, and will help us plan our further technical assistance workshops. So we will archive this presentation on our YouTube channel within the next few business days. We'll send you a copy of the PowerPoint presentation as well as the materials Kevin referenced. Thank you again for your time. This concludes our workshop, and you may now disconnect.